Alright, for this animation we are going to animate our chessboard, and we're going to animate just a couple of pieces, 2 chess moves. So we're going to take one piece and move it out. We're going to then pan the camera around the board and move another chess piece out. So it's going to be a couple second animation, just 3 or 4 seconds, in 2 chess moves at least. And you can always do more than that if you'd like, but we're going to do at least 2 moves. So the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure the camera is set correctly, the right view. So hit 0 on the keypad on the right side of your keyboard, and it goes into your camera view. And you want to make sure that the camera is locked to view. So the menu, if you hit N on the keyboard, this brings this menu up, and make sure this is selected lock camera to view. You can hit N again to get rid of it, and that way you can zoom in and out in your camera view. So I'm going to zoom in a little ways, and I'm going to select one of these chess pieces on the other side and move it towards the camera. So now that I've got the chess piece selected, it gives me my frames. This one ends at 250, and I'll change that a little bit later. I'm on frame 1, so make sure you're on frame 1. You've got the chess piece selected that you want, and I'm going to set a keyframe, I. Now if I do I, it brings up this menu, and I want to select location, rotation, scale. An easier way to do that, I'm going to show you that here, is to click this right down here at the bottom. These keys, if I click on these keys, I can set it to location, rotation, scale. That way, anytime I hit I on the keyboard, it automatically does it. That way I don't have to select it in the menu every time. So I'm going to, on frame 1, select that, make it a keyframe. So I'll hit I, and right up here it says successfully added 9 keyframes to location, rotation, scale. That's because I've got it set right here in this box. So I've got the keyframe on the timeline. Now I'm going to move the timeline a little ways out, about 2 seconds, a little less than 2 seconds at 20 frames. And I'm going to move my chess piece out a ways. I'm going to move it to this spot right here. And then I'm going to set another keyframe by hitting I on the keyboard. Okay. Now I'm going to move just 5 more frames and then start moving the camera. I don't want the camera to move right when the chess piece stops, so I'm going to put 5 frames in between there. Now I'm going to right click on the camera, and I'm in the camera view, so I can just right click this border of the camera, and it selects the camera. And it gives me a new set of keyframes here for the camera, and I don't have any yet. So I'm going to set one right here at 25 frames by just hitting I on the keyboard. That sets a keyframe right there for me. Now I'm going to pan around the board, so I'm going to go about 2 seconds later, maybe a little less than 2 seconds, to frame 60, and then I can just click and drag as long as my camera is locked to the view. I'm going to scroll around a little ways, move it to where I want, just a different view, and I'm going to see the next chess piece move out. So I'm going to get the view I want right there. I'm going to select that chess piece, and first I'm still selected on the camera. I need to set that keyframe, so I to set it, and that way I can click and drag on the timeline and scroll in between, and I can see how it's moving. Now it kind of looks like it zooms in on it and then zooms back out. If I don't want that, it looks kind of cool, but if I don't want that, I can go out of the camera view. I can hit 7 as a top view to see what the camera's doing, and as I click and drag through, a little higher, my camera goes from this position down low straight across the board to the other location. Now if I want it to pan out a little bit further out around the board, then I can just kind of come in between the keyframes. I'll go a third of the way in and set a new pull my camera out just a little bit and set a new keyframe, I, and then I can go another third of the way right here. I can pull it out a little bit more away from the board, and I to set the keyframe there. That way when I scroll through, it kind of goes around the board instead of just cutting right across it. And it totally depends on how you want to do it. You can always change later, adjust it a little bit. I want that one to come not so far out. I to set the keyframe. Okay. Then I can go back into my camera view, 0, and scroll through and scrub through and see what it looks like. I like that. That looks good. Okay, now that after moving the camera, I want to go another 5 frames just to get a little bit of time, leave a little bit of time before the next chess piece moves. I don't want it to go right away. So I'll click on the chess piece now, gives me a new set of keyframes, and I want to start on 65. set a keyframe there, I, as long as it's selected, that chess piece. Then I'm going to go another maybe 20 frames to 80, just under 2 seconds. And I'm going to then move my chess piece out. And I can't see that arrow, so I'm going to go out of the view. I'm going to move the chess piece across the board right next to the other one. And then lock or set a keyframe. So I to set the keyframe there. And then I'm going to leave just a few more frames, maybe to 85, maybe 90, I guess 85. Let's do 5 more keyframes. And right there, I'm going to I don't want the rest of these frames. If I render it, it's going to render all blank frames right here, all the way to 250. So I'm going to bring it into the end. I want to be on 85. So then there's all my frames that I want. I've got my keyframe set, and I can test it by just clicking and dragging. The first chess piece moves, it pans around, and the second chess piece moves. I can also play it to see what it will, how long it will take, or what it looks like exactly. Now mine's a little bit slower because the frame rate is lagging because I have so many pieces on the board and they're all smoothed. So that play isn't very effective. What I can do is, well, I'd have to take the subdivision surface modifier off for kind of temporarily, just the view. I'd take that down to 0. I'd have to select several of them and take that view down to 0 because it's kind of laggy. Anyway, those are all the keyframes that I need to make my 2 chess pieces move. And you can do more if you would like to do it however you want, put the camera angle however you want, and do that simple animation.